This book, I'm Okay, You're Okay, was a bestseller. I was told the author of the book took his life, and I communicated that. Because of it, I was sued for $22 million. I believed a lie, and I suffered because of it. Years ago, there was a song, Hotel California. Do you remember the cryptic line? You can check out anytime you please, but you can never leave. There are many people that are becoming addicted to drugs and heavy drugs because of marijuana. Proverbs 22:3 says, "The prudent man sees danger, but hides himself. The fool goes on and will suffer for it." George Washington, our first president, said, "An uninformed populace is easily enslaved." Let's look at these reasons. Number one, don't be misinformed. People say, well, this won't affect young people. It's only for ages 21 and up and private use. And, since you can grow it at home, it won't go out. It'll be sold, not on the streets. Hey, Colorado relaxed their laws on marijuana, and drug dealers are selling it on the streets. And even little children have ended up in the hospital from the cookies with marijuana. People say, well, it's for medical reasons. Cancer patients. Folks, scores want it legalized to get stoned, avoid jail, party, and make some fast cash. You look at Los Angeles, they've already closed 200 marijuana clinics. Holland, Portugal, Zurich, they have revamped their laws too. They see the dangers. Now, the number two reason we shouldn't legalize marijuana is because your health matters. Do you know that secondhand marijuana smoke is just as dangerous as tobacco? That's from a University of California, San Francisco study. Smoking cigarettes kills 400,000 Americans every year. 50,000 die from secondhand smoke. Cigarette smoking cuts lives short by an average of 13 years. Now, Joseph Califano, the head of the National Center on Addiction and Substance Abuse, says that marijuana is definitely a dangerous drug that is addictive and adversely affects the motor skills of users, as well as produces serious damage to a person's brain over the long term. Think of THC, the primary component. Today, it's 8 times more potent than just 2 decades ago. An addiction psychiatrist wrote in the New York Times, a liberal paper, quote, "I've spent 25 years as a doctor treating drug abusers. They're excellent con artists. Marijuana activists use phony science. For years, they claimed pot was good for glaucoma and never apologized when the research found it could actually make glaucoma worse. They still insist weed isn't addictive, despite every addiction medicine society saying it is. They've even produced their own flawed scientific studies supposedly proving medical marijuana laws don't increase use among teens, when almost all the evidence says just the opposite. It sends the message that weed is harmless. Even the research shows that teens who use it regularly do worse in school, are twice as likely to drop out, and earn less as adults. Teenage use has been shown to permanently lower IQ." That's Dr. Edward Gogek, a Democrat and addiction psychiatrist, writing in the New York Times. If celebrities like Whitney Houston, Amy Winehouse, Michael Jackson, and others who died of drugs could give us a warning on this topic, what do you think it would be? You remember the movie Wizard of Oz? Do you remember at the end, the deceiving mastermind that was fooling the masses? He was exposed. Today, we've got to do likewise as we hear individuals advocating for marijuana legalization. The third reason we should not go down this path is we need to avoid deception. 2013 said this: 1 in 15 high school seniors reported using marijuana daily. 10 years ago, it was 1 in 50. Many are being deceived. It's an easy means of escape to problems, depression, school challenges, parental problems. But once the buzz wears off, what happens? You got to grab another joint, and that can also lead to harder drugs. You get addicted. The fourth reason we need to stay clear is because we're called to maintain maximum mental capacity. In the Bible, in 1 Peter 4:7, it says, "Be alert and of sober mind." Marijuana usage will bring about the opposite effect. It'll affect motor skills, damages the brain. In fact, Northwestern University had a study, and they said that healthy individuals who did not use marijuana scored 37 times better on average than users, not just addicts, who had smoked pot. On TV, there's a co-host, Joe Scarborough. He said, "I never smoked pot." And he said, "Why do I want to make my odds for success even longer? It just makes you dumb." The fifth reason is protect public safety. Folks, come on, traffic accidents, are tremendous. And yet we're going to compound it with pot? 33,000 Americans are killed, and 1/3 because of drunk drivers. And think those that are paralyzed or impaired for life. 1.2 million drivers are arrested annually for drunk driving. And the highest number is what? 21 to 25-year-olds. It's the leading cause of death for teens. We can't compound it with this. Number 6, we don't want to relinquish control of our life. A man who works with hundreds of young people delivered from addiction said this, quote, "Our experience is that marijuana is a gateway drug." He says half of the young people admit they went on to harder drugs, but where did they start? With marijuana. Number 7, we need to be responsible and care for our children and our grandchildren. Let me give you a quote. 1 in 6 youth who try marijuana before the age of 18 will either abuse it or become addicted. That's from the National Institutes of Health. I want to end by saying there's a tremendous documentary I saw called Narco Cultura. It deals with Juarez, Mexico, where in the movie they talk of 3,500 homicides in a year, and yet a few miles over the border is El Paso, 5 homicides. What's the difference? Well, one has become a drug-infested cesspool. A passionate woman in the end of this documentary cries out, says that marijuana is bad and drugs are bad and Mexico is being destroyed unless we change. She gives us that warning. May we heed it in the United States.